small front yard garden, bamboo accents, natural touches and seamless flow. In the world of contemporary design, the smallest spaces often carry the greatest potential. A modest front yard, once overlooked as merely transitional or utilitarian, has evolved into a canvas for intentional living. When approached with clarity and purpose, even a compact outdoor area can become a sanctuary, an expression of harmony, sustainability, and understated beauty. As an architect, I've come to see these spaces not as constraints, but as invitations to think more deeply, to build more naturally, and to connect more completely with our surroundings. Bamboo stands at the forefront of this transformation. It is not simply a material, it is a philosophy. Light yet strong, orderly yet organic, bamboo introduces verticality without imposing mass. Its long, graceful lines lead the eye skyward, extending the perception of space. In design, perception is everything. A narrow courtyard feels expansive when framed by rhythmic bamboo stalks that dance with sunlight and breeze. The palette it offers, warm ochres, soft taupes, muted ambers, sits comfortably alongside greenery, soil, stone. It blends, it breathes, it belongs. Used as fencing, bamboo provides privacy without severity. Unlike concrete or steel, it doesn't sever the space from its context. It softens it. It wraps the garden in a veil of calm, a natural screen that muffles noise and frames nature. In smaller yards, it becomes essential to create boundaries that do not feel like barriers. Bamboo is that rare material that offers enclosure while still inviting openness. Its porosity, its tactile nature, its gentle imperfections, all these qualities bring soul to structure. But bamboo's role is not limited to the perimeter. Inside the garden, it lives and thrives in many forms. Trellises that guide flowering vines skyward, modular furniture, benches, tables, lounges crafted with its distinctive grain, sculptural dividers that subtly break up space without crowding it. There's a poetry to bamboo, never shouts. It hums, in a language of stillness and slow growth. And in a world defined by speed, this quiet is both rare and essential. The character of a garden, especially a small one, relies not only on plants, but on the materials that hold them. Natural textures root the space in the earth, in time, in something enduring. Stone, weathered and irregular, creates pathways that feel discovered rather than installed. Pebbled beds speak of rivers and ancient movement. Wooden seating welcomes the body with warmth. Clay pots, imperfect by design, evoke the human hand that shaped them. These elements are not ornamental, they are architectural gestures. Each one introduces tone, weight, rhythm. Texture is a silent narrator. In a small garden, it tells the story. Smooth meets coarse, matte meets gloss. Hard lines are balanced by soft edges. The interplay creates intimacy, drawing people in, asking them to look closer, to slow down. And over time, these materials shift and settle. Wood greys with age, stone collects moss, bamboo deepens in hue. The garden matures, not in deterioration, but in character. It becomes not just a space, but a witness. To bring tranquility to the forefront, many designs integrate water. A bowl, a trough, a simple trickling feature carved from stone or cast in ceramic. Not grand fountains, but quiet sources of motion and sound. In urban settings, the gentle cascade of water does more than please the ear. It masks the mechanical, the distant traffic, the hum of the city. It reminds us to listen, to return to a slower, more deliberate rhythm. This acoustic layering adds to the sensory palette. Texture is seen and touched, but water is heard and felt. In small spaces, such multidimensionality is invaluable. And then there is the question of flow. How does this outdoor space relate to the interior it fronts? The most successful gardens are not added onto the home, but grown out of it. Design becomes seamless when interior and exterior speak the same language. Large glass doors that open wide erase barriers. Continuity in material, whether it's the same stone underfoot or echoes of colour on cushions, blurs the line between house and garden. A front porch doesn't merely lead to the door, it becomes an extension of the living room. A bamboo screen aligns with an indoor partition. The outside reflects the inside, and vice versa. This relationship is not aesthetic alone, it is spatial, functional, emotional. When the threshold is removed, the garden becomes not something you pass through, but somewhere you dwell, you sit, you breathe, you linger. The compactness of the yard is no longer a limitation, it's a cocoon, a defined place to begin or end the day, a personal retreat, an opening to nature, curated and close. Every design decision in a small front yard must earn its place. There is no room for excess, for redundancy, and so every choice carries weight. Bamboo is selected not just for its look, but for its sustainability. Stone for its permanence, wood for its warmth, water for its vitality. Each element is part of a larger narrative, one of return, of restraint, of respect for scale and spirit. In this new paradigm, the small front yard is not incidental, it is foundational. It reflects a shift in values, from outward display to inward depth, from having more to needing less, from control to cooperation with nature. And in this space, framed by bamboo, grounded in natural materials, and flowing freely from the home within, we find something rare: peace, presence, and possibility. Plant selection is the heartbeat of any garden, but in a compact front yard, it becomes an exercise in precision. Each plant must serve not only a visual purpose, but a spatial and ecological one. The limited area demands a carefully curated palette, plants that thrive in close quarters, that offer seasonal variation, and that contribute to the overall rhythm of the space. We begin by choosing native species, plants that belong to the climate, that understand the soil, that ask for little but give back endlessly. These species are resilient, low maintenance, and welcoming to local wildlife. In their presence, a garden does not feel imposed, it feels inevitable. Dwarf varieties offer another layer of strategic beauty. Compact yet expressive, they bring foliage and colour without crowding. Whether it's a miniature conifer or a small-scale flowering shrub, these plants fit like tailored garments into the design. They offer structure without mass, bloom without burden. Interspersed with ornamental grasses or architectural succulents, they create a balance between density and openness. The trick is in the composition. Groupings of odd numbers, varying heights, and contrasting textures that invite the eye to move, to pause, to admire. Bamboo, once again, earns its place not only as structure but as living plant. When used in ground or in large containers, bamboo provides privacy, shade, and vertical interest. Its rustling leaves become a soundscape, its movement a dynamic sculpture. In tight spaces, verticality is not just efficient, it is transformative. A small yard does not have to be flat. With the right selections, it can rise and layer, become immersive. It's important, however, not to overcrowd. Space is not the enemy of abundance, it is the stage for it. Leave breathing room between groupings, allow sunlight to penetrate and shadows to play. The goal is not to fill every inch, but to compose every moment. Gardens are not paintings, they are experiences, lived through motion, through scent, through time. Lighting completes the sensory experience. As day fades, the garden should not disappear, it should shift. Soft, warm lighting transforms the atmosphere. It highlights textures, the ribbing on bamboo, the grain in wood, the sparkle on wet stone. It creates depth, defines layers, invites exploration. In small front yards where every element is close, lighting must be deliberate. Place solar path lights along stepping stones, not for illumination alone, but to guide movement, to signal arrival. Mount spotlights on bamboo panels to cast shadows and bring vertical drama. Thread string lights through pergolas or branches for a canopy of warmth and intimacy. Lighting is not about brightness, it is about focus. Accents, not floods. In a compact space, a little light goes a long way. And in doing so, it extends the usability of the garden well beyond daylight hours. It becomes a place for quiet evenings, casual gatherings, solitary reflections. The front yard, once merely a passageway, now becomes a destination. Furniture must follow the same principle: essential, integrated, inviting. A wooden bench nestled against a bamboo backdrop offers rest and rhythm. A small ceramic top table allows for morning coffee under a soft sky. Seating need not be large, it must be comfortable, cohesive, and positioned with care. Use cushions and textiles that echo indoor tones to create continuity. A garden that mirrors the home becomes part of it. If there is room, a small pergola overhang provides scale and structure. It defines space vertically, frames views, and shelters from sun and rain. When covered with climbing plants, perhaps a jasmine or a native vine, it becomes a living canopy. Not a roof, but a filter, one that brings softness to light and a sense of enclosure without weight. Underfoot, surfaces must balance practicality with poetics. Stepping stones set in gravel lead with intention. A small deck of reclaimed wood brings warmth and defines a lounge area. Smooth concrete pavers contrast beautifully with soft moss or ground cover. Material transitions signal function and movement. This is where you walk. This is where you pause. This is where you gather. One of the most profound design choices we can make is to align inside and outside, not just visually but philosophically. Let the ethos of your home extend into the garden. If your interior is minimalist, let the yard echo simplicity. If your home values craftsmanship, let the materials outside reflect that same care. Use repetition to build unity. A colour carried from the living room to the plant pots. A texture echoed from a wall finish to a garden screen, a motif repeated subtly in both spaces. This alignment does more than please the eye. It enhances functionality. It removes the feeling of transition. You are not stepping out of the house, you are moving through it, from room to garden, from light to shade, from shelter to sky. The journey becomes seamless. And that is the core of great small yard design, seamlessness. Not just between zones, but between experiences. From material to movement, from structure to scent, from inside to out. Every element, no matter how small, contributes to the whole. And when the whole is cohesive, calm and considered, the garden transcends its footprint. It becomes a living expression of home. At a time when life often feels disjointed, when digital replaces tactile and speed overshadows stillness, a small front yard, carefully designed, lovingly maintained, offers something radical: presence. It is not about escaping the world. It is about anchoring ourselves within it. With every bamboo stalk, every stone, every leaf and light, we are reminded that beauty is not about scale, it is about connection. Designing for small front yards challenges us to be deliberate, to compose space like a piece of music where every note matters and silence is just as important as sound. It's not about squeezing features into a tight footprint, but about orchestrating a spatial experience that flows effortlessly, reflects nature, and evokes emotion. In this final movement, we refine the approach with subtle details that elevate the whole. Sensory layering, seasonal change, and emotional resonance. Sensory design begins with the air. Fragrance, often forgotten in visual planning, can define the atmosphere of a space. Incorporate aromatic plants like lavender, rosemary, or native flowering herbs near pathways or entrances. These don't just add beauty, they create memory. A garden's scent in early spring, its cool dampness in autumn, the way bamboo rustles on a hot afternoon, all these sensations combine into a living narrative, one that evolves through the seasons. Seasonality is critical. In a small yard, static design feels stale. We want movement, transformation, surprise. Choose plants and materials that respond to time. Deciduous shrubs that blaze in fall, bulbs that herald spring with early blooms, grasses that sway golden in summer wind. The garden should never feel finished. Instead, it should feel alive, always becoming, always shifting. This dynamic character can be emphasized with modular or movable elements. Lightweight bamboo partitions can be rearranged to suit seasonal sun paths or changing privacy needs. Planters on casters allow the composition to be edited. Even furniture, foldable chairs, stackable stools can adapt to how the space is used day by day, moment by moment. A flexible garden is a resilient one, but adaptability doesn't mean inconsistency. There must be a unifying language, a rhythm of material, a consistency of form, a quiet repetition of motifs. This is where bamboo shines again. Whether it's a slender railing, a latticed canopy, or a simple border along a bed, bamboo can appear throughout the space in small, subtle ways that tie everything together. These recurring details build familiarity. They offer cohesion. They create a design that feels intentional and whole. And within that cohesion, allow for pauses. Not every corner must be filled. Not every wall must speak. Silence, emptiness is design. A single stone set in raked gravel, a bare patch of moss, an unadorned bench under filtered sunlight. These are spaces for the mind to rest. In the density of urban life, such quiet moments are rare and thus essential. Water can also function as both motion and pause. A small reflecting pool, still and clear, mirrors the sky and adds depth. A ceramic fountain adds gentle sound and movement. Even a shallow bird bath becomes a focal point, not just for the human gaze, but for local birds, bees, and butterflies. This is where ecological and architectural values converge. A well-designed garden supports life, both visually and literally. It becomes habitat. This is no small thing. In 2025, as environmental awareness becomes not a trend but a necessity, every square metre of land carries weight. And a small front yard, though modest, can be profoundly ecological. Use permeable surfaces to reduce runoff. Collect rainwater in decorative barrels that double as sculpture. Avoid synthetic pesticides. Instead, choose plants that attract beneficial insects. Sustainability here is not a feature, it is a foundation. Let us also consider the human rituals that take place in this space. A child taking their first steps on warm flagstones. A neighbour pausing at the gate for a brief conversation. A quiet coffee alone at dawn. The garden is more than its components, it is a backdrop to life. Design should anticipate and embrace these small, ordinary moments. It should frame them, support them, celebrate them. Even the threshold itself, where public meets private, deserves attention. A gate framed with bamboo, a low wall with embedded planters, or a simple canopy can signal arrival with grace. It marks the transition, not just into a property, but into a mindset. From the noise of the street to the stillness of home, the front yard becomes a kind of decompression chamber, one that soothes, centers, and welcomes. To achieve this, we must shift our perspective. We must stop thinking of the front yard as a buffer and start seeing it as a room without a roof. A space that, like any well-designed interior, holds intention, hierarchy, and feeling. Its walls may be living, its furniture may be earthen, but its purpose is clear: to hold life, to hold presence. This kind of design is not loud, it doesn't demand attention, it invites presence. It asks us to pause, to engage, to notice. And it gives back generously, not in spectacle, but in serenity. It whispers with every breeze through bamboo. It glows under soft light. It grounds us, literally and emotionally. So we arrive at the essence of the small front yard in this new era. It is not about how much you fit, but how much you feel. It is not about bold statements, but about quiet confidence. It is not about showing, but about sharing. Space, time, attention. The front yard garden, with its bamboo accents, natural materials, and seamless indoor-outdoor flow, is a manifesto. A declaration that even the smallest piece of land can reflect the grandest values. Care, balance, respect for nature, and a deep understanding of how design shapes life. And in the end, isn't that what architecture is for? Not to overwhelm, but to harmonize. Not to isolate, but to connect. Not to control nature, but to walk beside it. Step by step, stone by stone, bamboo by bamboo, toward a home that is not just a shelter, but a place of peace.